Have you ever wondered what a woman sees in you long before you even know she exists? Because here's the truth most men never hear. Women don't fall for what you show them. They fall for what you don't even realize you're revealing. And right now, without saying a single word, you're telling her everything she needs to know about the man you are. One glance, just one, can spark interest or silently close the door forever. Tonight, I'm going to uncover the 3 secret things women notice instantly, the things that decide whether you stand out or disappear like a passing face in the crowd. Stay with me till the very end. What you're about to learn might change the way women see you forever. Comment your location while watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. When a woman first notices a man, she isn't evaluating his achievements, his money, or his status. She isn't checking to see what car he drives or what brand sits on his wrist. All of that comes later. What she notices first, what every woman notices first, is his presence, the energy he walks in with, the emotional signature he carries before he even opens his mouth. And it's fascinating because most men have no idea they're being seen on this level. They assume attraction starts with looks or words, but in reality, attraction starts with the unspoken, with the invisible, with the atmosphere you create around yourself without even trying. A woman's mind is wired to read subtlety. Long before she sees the details of your face, she feels the energy behind it. Is this a man who is centered? Is he grounded? Does he look like someone who knows himself, someone who is at ease in his own skin? These are questions she isn't consciously asking, yet instinctively answering in seconds. She's picking up micro signals, your posture, your pace, your breathing, the softness or tension in your shoulders, the quietness or noise in your movements. She is reading you the same way you might read a room. And the truth is, she forms an opinion of you before you even realize she has looked up. What most men don't understand is that presence is not about dominance. It's not about walking in loudly or demanding attention. True presence is the opposite. It's the ability to walk into a space without shrinking, without pretending, without performing, but also without forcing yourself on the environment. It's the balance between confidence and calm. It's the aura of a man who is enough as he is, who doesn't need to broadcast anything to be noticed. Women are incredibly responsive to that kind of quiet strength. It feels stable. It feels mature. It feels safe. And in a world filled with noise, a man who carries silence with certainty stands out instantly. Sometimes, a woman sees a man walk into a room and she can tell he's battling something inside. The tension shows before he speaks. The restless eyes, the fidgeting hands, the uneasy steps. She doesn't know his story, but she feels his inner chaos. And equally, she can sense when a man has done the inner work. There is a steadiness to him, a softness that comes from self-awareness, a firmness that comes from discipline. Even his stillness communicates something about his character. That is presence, the invisible biography you carry with you. Think about how many times you've walked past someone and sensed whether they were confident or insecure without hearing a single word. That's how women read men, not because they're judging, because human intuition is sharper than logic. The body speaks long before the mouth does, and women are especially tuned into that frequency. They were raised, consciously or subconsciously, to pay attention to emotional detail, often for safety, often for clarity. That means they don't just see you, they feel you. They feel whether you are grounded or uncertain. They feel whether you are carrying pride or pressure. They feel your emotional climate. Presence also asks a deeper question. Do you take ownership of the space you're in? Not in a controlling way, but in a self-possessed way. A man who owns his presence doesn't rush. He doesn't shrink. He doesn't overcompensate. He simply is. And that ness, that unapologetic selfhood, is what women notice instantly. It's what makes them look twice. It's what makes them wonder,
who is he?
Without you doing anything extra. You attract attention not by performing, but by being unmistakably yourself. And this is where many men lose their power. They walk into a room trying to earn approval instead of expressing presence. They're thinking of what people think, and ironically, that energy betrays them. You cannot hide insecurity in a world where energy is louder than words. Women can detect the difference between masculine calm and masculine performance. One feels authentic, the other feels exhausting, and authenticity always wins. Presence is built through inner alignment, through knowing what you stand for, what you tolerate, what you value. It forms when you are no longer chasing validation, but choosing direction. A man who lives with intention automatically carries himself differently. His walk is purposeful, his eyes steady, his gestures minimal but meaningful. He becomes magnetic not through effort, but through certainty. Women notice that immediately. And the most powerful part, you don't need to be the best looking man in the room to have presence. You don't need expensive things or theatrical confidence. You only need to embody your truth, own your space, move with intention. Respect your own energy before expecting anyone else to. Because before a woman ever knows your name, she has already felt your presence. And long before she decides whether she's interested in you, she's deciding whether your presence feels worth her attention. So carry yourself like a man who knows his value, quietly, confidently, and consistently. Your presence is your first impression and often your strongest. Because long before she sees your face, she feels your essence. When a woman sees a man for the first time, she isn't just watching him, she's interpreting him. Not consciously, not deliberately, but instinctively. And this is where most men underestimate the power of their subtle social signals. The small things you do without thinking speak louder than anything you could say. These micro behaviors, these quiet flashes of character, reveal the kind of man you are long before you ever introduce yourself. A woman may glance in your direction, but what she's really reading is your interaction with the world around you. She's noticing how you treat people you don't need. She's observing the tone of your laugh, whether it's natural or forced. She's sensing whether you're comfortable in the environment or trying too hard to be seen. And what's interesting is that she draws conclusions from these details far faster than logic can keep up with. Her intuition fills in the blanks, and once that impression forms, it's incredibly difficult to rewrite. Many men think they can impress a woman with charm or confidence once they start talking, but the truth is, she already knows more about you than you think. Your social behavior reveals your emotional intelligence. It reveals whether you are present or distracted, whether you are respectful or dismissive, whether you move with awareness or carelessness. These are things she notices not because she is judgmental, but because the human mind is wired to detect patterns. And women, for biological and psychological reasons, tend to be especially attuned to these social cues. Take something as simple as how you react when someone interrupts you. Do you grow irritated? Do you lose your composure? Do you maintain your calm? A woman can tell if your confidence is stable or fragile by observing these tiny moments. She doesn't need a long conversation to know whether you are emotionally grounded or easily shaken. And it's not the interruption she's analyzing, it's your response to it, because responses reveal character. Another subtle cue she notices is your relationship with attention. Are you the man who needs to control the room to feel worthy? Or are you the man who feels secure even in silence? A woman can sense when a man is performing. Overly loud laughter, exaggerated gestures, constant scanning of the room, these things communicate insecurity more than strength. A man who needs attention communicates that he hasn't found internal validation yet, and that kind of energy repels far more than it attracts. On the other hand, a man who is socially present but not performative tends to stand out in a completely different way. He listens more than he speaks. He acknowledges people around him without trying to impress them. He is polite without being submissive, confident without being arrogant. Women pick up on this equilibrium immediately because it signals emotional maturity. It shows control. It communicates a kind of inner order that many men never consciously develop. There's also the way you interact with your environment. Do you greet staff with respect? Are you dismissive toward those you think have nothing to offer you? Women observe this more than men realize. Your treatment of people who play no direct role in your life reveals the truest form of your character. Kindness in low-stakes situations is one of the strongest indicators of integrity. And when a woman sees that, she recognizes a man who is aligned not just with confidence, but with humanity. Then there's your physical presence in social spaces. Not your looks, your manner. Do you stand like a man who trusts himself, or like a man waiting for the world to approve him? The slightest fidget, the unnecessary shifting, the constant self-touching, these movements expose insecurity. On the other hand, measured gestures, intentional movement, relaxed shoulders, steady eyes, those signal inner clarity. A woman may not describe it in those terms, but she feels the difference instinctively. And let's not forget the quality of your silence. Silence says more about a man than his words ever could. Some men sit in silence because they're uncomfortable, others because they don't need noise to fill their space. One reflects self-doubt. The other reflects inner strength. Women can sense which one you embody in seconds. In many ways, the social signals you send are reflections of your self-concept. A man who respects himself naturally respects others. A man who carries his worth internally doesn't need to advertise it. A man who is emotionally secure is naturally gentle with the world, but firm within himself. And these qualities, subtle as they may be, create an immediate gravitational pull. They make a woman think, this man is different. And once that thought enters her mind, you have already distinguished yourself. But when a man lacks awareness of these signals, when he moves unconsciously, reacts impulsively, or navigates the world without intention, he communicates chaos even if he believes he's communicating confidence. And chaos is the one thing a woman will notice faster than anything else. It is the loudest silent signal you can send. So pay attention not to how loudly you speak, but to how quietly you behave. Because the truth is simple. A woman doesn't fall for your words. She falls for the man your actions quietly reveal. Before a woman ever speaks to you, before she even knows your name, she can sense something most men never think about: the level of purpose you carry within yourself. And this isn't about bragging rights, accomplishments, or achievements. Purpose isn't a R-A-sum-A. It's a rhythm. It's a man's inner direction expressed through the way he moves, the way he focuses, the way he simply exists in a moment. Women pick up on this almost instantly because purpose leaves an emotional scent. It's invisible but unmistakable. You can tell when a man is drifting. He moves without intention. His eyes wander not out of curiosity but out of confusion. His posture shows a subtle collapse, like he's searching for something outside to fill an emptiness inside. Women notice this immediately because a man who lacks direction often lacks presence. He appears physically there, but emotionally absent. And that absence is louder than any words he could speak. On the other hand, a man with purpose has a centeredness that cannot be faked. He may not be the loudest or the most charismatic, but there's a certain alignment in him, like he knows where he's going even if no one else does. A woman can see purpose in the way he stands, the way he listens, the way he doesn't allow the world to pull him in every direction. He doesn't drift. He decides, and that quiet decisiveness is magnetic. Purpose gives a man a kind of emotional gravity. He becomes someone others naturally orbit around, not because he demands attention, but because he radiates stability. A woman can sense when a man has structure in his life. She can sense when he has responsibilities that shape him, goals that guide him, discipline that defines him. His energy is different, tighter in the right way, more focused, more intentional. He's not living life as a reaction. He's living life as a direction. What's fascinating is that purpose doesn't need to be spoken for a woman to feel it. In fact, talking too much about purpose often reveals the lack of it. A man who is truly directed doesn't need to explain himself. The clarity inside him shows on the outside. He walks with a tempo that suggests momentum. He talks with a tone that suggests intention. And even when he is silent, his silence carries weight. Women don't just see that, they feel it. There's a philosophical depth to this. Humans are naturally drawn to people who appear to be moving towards something meaningful. It signals strength. It signals vision. It signals emotional leadership. And whether you realize it or not, women are constantly evaluating these subtle indicators. They're thinking, is this man going somewhere? Does he know what he wants from life? Does he have enough direction to create stability, not just for himself, but potentially for others? These questions shape her perception before you ever speak. A man without purpose often tries to compensate with noise, flashy behavior, exaggerated confidence, superficial charm. But a woman sees through this easily. She can tell when a man is performing ambition instead of living it. And the more he tries to cover the emptiness, the more visible it becomes. A purposeful man doesn't live in performative energy. His movements are intentional because he values his time and attention. He knows what deserves his focus and what doesn't. He is selective, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. This creates a natural boundary around him, a quiet strength that signals, my life is not random. My energy is not free. My direction matters. Women respond deeply to this because it reflects maturity and self-ownership. And purpose doesn't mean he has everything figured out. It simply means he is actively moving. He is in pursuit. He is building. He is becoming. A woman doesn't need to see the final destination. She just needs to see the man's relationship with progress. Is he stagnant or growing, passive or intentional, avoiding life or engaging with it? You can feel stagnation in someone's presence. You can feel when they've abandoned their potential. That kind of energy brings heaviness and emotional drag. But the energy of purpose brings light, motion, and direction. That's what women feel when they meet a man who's connected to something deeper than the moment. Purpose gives a man an identity beyond temporary moods or external validation. It shapes the way he speaks, the boundaries he sets, the respect he commands. It creates a psychological backbone that doesn't bend under pressure. Women notice this almost immediately because it is rare. It is rare to meet someone who knows why he wakes up in the morning. It is rare to meet a man who leads himself before he tries to lead anyone else. And that's why a man's sense of purpose becomes one of the first things a woman perceives. Not through his words, but through his state. Through the way he carries himself. Through the quiet intensity of someone who is not lost within himself. Before she knows your name, she knows whether you are drifting or driven, whether you are passive or purposeful, whether your life has direction, or whether you are waiting for someone else to give it to you. And the truth is simple. A woman doesn't need to hear your goals to know if you have them. She feels the direction in your presence long before you ever speak.